Hey everyone, I'm here with Bodhi, as you can kind of see in the video, to talk a little bit about things that you should know or think about before you buy a horse. So one of the things that you should think about is what you want or what you need in a horse. For example, are you wanting a riding horse, a driving horse, or are you just wanting to do in-hand activities? If you're just wanting to do in-hand activities, would it be better if you got a smaller horse versus a larger horse? Are you wanting to drive? Are you wanting a small driving horse or a large driving horse? Are you wanting to do jumping? Or different activities that you should think about would gear towards certain breeds. For example, a quarter horse generally, not always, is more specifically go towards barrel racing. Appaloosa can go towards barrel racing, but that's not specifically what their breed was bred for. Not that quarter horses were specifically bred for barrel racing, but they were bred for the quarter mile, so they are able to sprint shorter distances faster than other typical horses. Not that other horses can't run these short distances very fast, but this is just like the general census of it all. And for example, my favorite horse right now, not in general, is a miniature horse, and I have miniature horses. So I especially love driving, and I love to do in-hand jumping and showmanship and halter. Different things that you can do with a miniature horse. Now, I love riding, but I can't do that with a miniature horse. So if I wanted to go into riding, I would probably get a draft horse, as I love to drive still. And I love to do halter and showmanship activities. And you can still do in-hand trail with a large draft horse. I would recommend that you never buy a horse unseen, as you really don't know what you're getting into or what you're getting. If you buy unseen, as they can say it's something, or they can do something, but then when you get it, you find out that it's completely wrong. I recommend that you always bring someone with you, whether it's just a friend or family or a trainer. People are less typically likely to lie and drug a horse if you have multiple, sorry, Bodhi wants to be in the video too, people with you. Another thing that I recommend is you check vet records and check the history of the horse, such as show records if they have any. Ask about past owners, ask why they're selling the horse. Make sure that the horse fits your purpose. So if I was looking for a large horse, or not large, if I was looking for a larger horse besides my minis that I could ride and drive, it would be best if I didn't buy a quarter horse that only knew how to ride. It would be best if I bought like a draft horse that knew how to ride and drive. Or a standard bred that knew how to ride and drive. So unless you want to spend the money into training, I would recommend that you buy a horse that already knows what you're wanting to do. Beware of that your seller is reputable. That way, like I mentioned before, that you know that you're getting what you want out of the horse. And I would recommend that you also look at return agreements. So if you buy a horse and they want that horse back, if you don't like it, or they would buy it back, watch the fine print as to if you're gonna have to give it back to them, or if they will pay what you paid for it, or if they're only gonna pay half of what you paid for it. That kind of will catch you in the end. And always get a receipt. Always get a receipt of some sort that says, hey, I paid this much for this horse. This horse is not mine. I understand that I bought it in this condition. That way, that if anything goes down, you're protected on your end. Make sure that you figure out expenses before you buy a horse. So if you're boarding, make sure that you know, am I going to self-board? Am I going to full board? Realize that boarding is quite costly. So you're looking up at least 50, in my case, 100 per horse to self-board. And full board, I've seen typically is $350 to $600 a month, depending on how fancy the facility is and what all they offer. Also remember to consider age, size, breed, color, and gender of the horse. Are you looking at a mare, a gelding, a stallion? I would not recommend a stallion for first-time owners, but there will be the occasional stallion that can, but I still wouldn't recommend it. Color, you don't typically have as much to deal with, but certain colors are more prone to more health issues than other colors. Breed, you have like Arabians are more high-strung than like a Percheron, for example. Or Friesians, you have to watch their feathers. Clydesdales, you have to watch their feathers. Size, that will also go into consideration. A Percheron is going to be much larger and thicker than Arabian. A Percheron is also going to be much larger and thicker than a Morgan or a quarter horse. They do have shorter draft horses, but you're still looking at 16 plus hands tall. Age, I would recommend if you're looking at fully trained between 8 and 15 years of age. Once you hit 15 though, you're kind of looking at that the horse is going to start going downhill. Not that they are, horses do live well into their 20s, 30s, even 40s sometimes, but once you hit the late teens and early 20s, you start to realize, hey, they're gonna have arthritis, they're gonna have joint issues. My one miniature horse is 26 years old and she has horrible arthritis. She's on a joint supplement right now. Are you going to own or lease a horse? Owning, in my experience, I love owning versus leasing. Leasing can have its downsides, especially if you're free leasing or if you're paying. If you're paying for an on-site lease, they're going to take care of the horse. They're going to do everything, and you just get to have the enjoyment of working with that horse. If you're going to do off-site lease, you're paying for everything, and you're doing everything. Typically, off-site leases are free, though. Owning does have its pluses, but you do have that downside that if something goes wrong, you have to pay everything. Versus leasing, typically the owner will help pay for everything. And how much time do you have? Do you have time for a project horse, or do you have time, not as much time, to where you just want to hop on and go? So you would need a well-trained horse. And you have enough time to do the chores, to go out and work with your horse every day, or if you're going to board, work with your horse at least a couple times a week. And then watch your horse being worked with. Watch other people work with the horse. Watch the owner work with the horse. Bring people that will work with the horse with you, and work with the horse yourself. Because you may find out, hey, this horse works for this person perfectly, but for me, it acts up. Or for me, it doesn't seem to do what I was hoping it would do. Or for this person, it doesn't work well, but for me, it does do those things. I've seen that in several different horses, and that could be the case. So always work with the horse. Always see it worked with, as you never know, different people, different horses act differently. And then another thing to consider is medical insurance. I don't have insurance on my horses. I have insurance in general to cover liability if another person gets injured on my horses, but I don't have medical insurance. The reason this is that because my horses are not high enough quality for me. Well, besides Jesse, my stallion, he's really high quality, but he's not being shown. No, he's not off the property, so I'm not as worried about it. Whereas once I start going off the property, I might consider medical insurance, but I really only suggest medical insurance if you have a high quality, high show horse that you're constantly doing stuff with, that you're really, really worried about if you lose it. Like if you have a $30,000 horse, yeah, I recommend you get insurance on your horse. Because if something were to happen, at least you were to be covered. I hope this helps people that are looking to buy a horse or looking into getting into horses. Please don't hesitate to subscribe and like this video and recommend this channel to other people. I really hope this helped everybody. Thank you.